Hello and welcome to Matt Loves Eurovision. It's my Eurovision 2024 Top 37 countdown. It's place number 3. It's Portugal, Iolanda and Grito. Please do click on the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, like, share and comment below. Music video is in the description, as is a link to my blog post. So this is a hat-trick for Portugal in my countdown. They've now been in my top 10 in my countdown for the past 3 years. And indeed for the last 2 years, they've been in the 3rd position, the bronze medal position. Now Portugal got their first and only win in 2017. But ever since then, they've continued to provide the contest with very artistic or very distinctive entries that focus more on their originality, artistry, and presentation of Portuguese music, as opposed to being focused on perhaps what might appeal to a more Europe-wide or TV audience. Now, it doesn't always pay off. I know 2019 being the particular example with Telling My Vote. I loved Telling My Vote, but not everyone else did, sadly. But Portugal do have 3 qualifications to the grand final in a row now, and those have included 2 top 10 jury results and 1 overall top 10 result. So can Iolanda do the same with her song Grito? Now, Iolanda, as with many artists this year, has been involved with music from a young age. She studied at a couple of music schools, and after university she went to London, again a popular move amongst many Eurovision artists it seems, and studied songwriting at the British and Irish Institute of Modern Music at the University of Sussex. She's released a small number of singles and an EP, and she was invited by the Portuguese broadcaster RTP to enter a song for the Portuguese selection, which is Festival da Canção. She co-wrote and co-produced Grito specifically for the contest, and she went on to, she got through the semi-finals, and in the final she easily won the jury vote by cantered home. And with the televote, she didn't win the televote, but she came a very, very close 2nd place. So within a whisker of winning the public vote. Now, Grito, or Scream in English, is a super beautiful song and performance. And I think it's fair to say that Portugal have maintained their reputation for artistry at the contest. Now, this kind of falls into the wider category of ballad. At least when we're talking about Eurovision songs, we tend to be very rough in our generalisations represented at the contest. So we have our girly bop bangers, we have, and we have our rocks tracks, etc., and we have ballads. And I don't think that is wholly accurate for Grito. I think ballad in Eurovision tends to conjure up images of quite a traditional structure and format. I think something like Simone France's entry this year is more, and also Don's kind of fall more perhaps into more kind of classical ballads. I don't think that's really what Grito is about. It's a full-on kind of integrated performance of dance, singing and music together. Now, her vocals are stunning. She can sing live as well, or as good as the studio version. Someone did a week or weeks ago did a video where they compared the live versions where we had them with the studio versions, and they're right next to each other, so you could hear the difference. For the Landers, there wasn't any difference at all, which goes to show how good her live vocals are. And I think accompanied with a really strong visual identity and one really strong performance, it all really comes together, both kind of visually but also aurally as well. Now, while the lyrics are obviously in Portuguese, it's a Portuguese language song, even the translated lyrics in English seem to have a really strong element of poetry in them. So Finland, this is not. And she's described the song as a scream of self-defense and trusting in yourself. And the actual grito, the scream, when it comes, or the interpretation of the scream comes in the song towards the end of the performance, it really is truly a breathtaking moment. Now, I didn't expect this to be high up in the Eurovision scoreboard app, and indeed pre-rehearsals, this was around 27th, but it has climbed up a couple of places now. The semi-final only option did expect this to qualify. It was in 10th, it still is there. But initially the betting odds did not have this as a qualifier. Now I was hopeful, but not particularly confident, just because I know this is not necessarily a televote friendly, or it may not be a televote friendly or very easily accessible song on first watch or listen, and that it may struggle. But I knew it had a good place in the running order, and qualitative reactions, as opposed to the kind of fan polls, qualitative reactions from reviewers on YouTube and various other places and blogs had been pretty good for this. But the betting had it as a non-qualifier. That has changed quite dramatically since the first and second rehearsals now have come out, and we've seen a 30-second clip of this. It's now favoured to qualify. And generally, the consensus now is that it will safely qualify. So impressed with rehearsals people have people been. And Iolanda won an ESC United, one of the biggest of the fan sites. They did a viewers poll on the clips of the first rehearsals, the second rehearsals of the first semi-final that Eurovision released as a video. And they did a poll, and Iolanda and Grito won that poll on terms of what was the best rehearsal. So I think and hope you'll agree that when you see the full 3-minute performance of this, you'll see that they've done an amazing job of really elevating the national final performance and making the most of the options that they have, obviously with that more technically impressive Eurovision stage. That Grito moment, the scream moment I've talked about, that looks and sounds, but spectacular in particular, and will look really good in the recap, the recap that they do for the voting. Now, in terms of the grand final, making the assumption this does reach the grand final, I still think a big televote score is probably unlikely, but you never know. But there's just so many other songs, big televote songs, that I can see that it would struggle necessarily to get a really big televote score. However, the jury is really where the points will come from this, and I think, if all things being fair and equal, this should do really, really well with the juries. I think a top 10 placing, or indeed even higher from the juries, would be the least this deserves, and I hope it'll be rewarded even better than that. But what did you think of Portugal this year? Please do let me know in the comments, and we'll see you again soon for the very last 2 places in my countdown. Take care.